Is coffee overrated?
Let's brew over that. One of them was not conspired. A diuretic, it gives you the runs. Welcome everyone to another video. I'm glad you're here. What are we doing today?
In today's video, we're going to be discussing all things coffee.
Yeah.
Facts, things that we think are true, things that are not true. We're just going to
Opinions.
talk about the subject of coffee and really just boil it down to what's true, what's not.
Yeah. We're going to brew over everything, and we're going to start by each having 4 different points, but one of them is not true. So there's 3 that are true, 1 that are not. The job of the person asking the questions is to trick the other one into not guessing which one is false.
All right, let's begin.
The first one has to do with instant coffee versus brewed coffee. An interesting debate all in itself. Instant coffee has more calcium. It actually has double the amount of calcium than brewed coffee, which is 7.2 milligrams.
Interesting. So, I'm assuming that this fact is probably true. I would tend, in my opinion, it seems like a fact that for most coffee consumers is not why they would drink instant coffee to start with. So I don't see how this would change anybody's view on why they should drink instant coffee versus good coffee.
Fair. It is a reason. We can all have more calcium in our lives. There's no one wanting less calcium that I've ever met. We need more reasons to drink instant coffee, is my opinion. But instant coffee, 1, it tastes good as coffee,
Okay.
which even some people argue. 2, it is cheaper, and 3, it's easier to make. It's literally in the name, instant coffee. Like,
right.
It's instant. Like, what about that is not compelling? Like, why would you not want to drink instant coffee?
Instant coffee does not have the same quality of taste as a highly brewed, delicious cup of regular coffee.
So, point number 1, do you think it's true or false?
For the calcium, I think that is true. Definitely.
All right, moving on to question number 2. This one has a little bit to do, again, with people who drink their coffee black with no cream and sugar,
Oh, yes.
or people who drink it with cream and sugar. So this is a statistic. I was able to find statistics on the United States. I wasn't able to find ones worldwide, but we can just kind of compare US to the rest of the world in this situation.
Right.
10% of the United States, of the coffee drinkers in the United States, drink their coffee black.
10%.
10% drink their coffee black. 10%.
Honestly, Dallas, I feel like
10% are messed up. I'll say that.
I feel like there are more black coffee drinkers than 10%, personally.
Here's my bone to pick with people who drink black coffee. People who drink black coffee think that it gives them a maturity card. They say, oh, I've been drinking black coffee since I was 8 years old. They're come up to my level. Like, just because you're not adding cream and sugar, it gives you no more worth or value.
Right.
Because honestly, I've been eating hot dogs without ketchup and mustard since I was so young.
then
and
again,
that doesn't give me anything. It doesn't take away from coffee adding sugar and milk.
100%. But we're not comparing apples to apples if you compare a hot dog and ketchup to coffee adding creamer. I do feel like there is a certain respect to give a person who drinks it black because they understand, or they just appreciate the fullness
The
of
awful taste of a black cup of coffee. They appreciate the just burnt toast feeling of a cup of coffee. It's just bitter. And here's another thing. The majority of black coffee drinkers that I've talked to, I've tried even convincing myself to join the black coffee drinkers, to join the elite few. But they all said that they used to not enjoy black coffee. They had to go through a process of converting. And quite honestly, why would I want to do that? Why would I want to put myself through that torture
Right.
of having bad
Right.
coffee until I can finally be able to digest a coffee.
But you have the same amount of bias as a black coffee drinker does. Just like he thinks that black coffee is superior, you're doing the same thing to them. Honestly, I feel like I'm leaning towards your side on that it is better with cream, but at the same time, if you drink it black, kudos to you. If that's how you like it, awesome. I just don't think there should be this tension of I drink it black or you drink it with creamer. There's nothing to it. Like, drink it the way you like it.
I extend my hand to you, fellow black coffee drinkers. I have this dream that we can sit at the same table drinking coffee, whether yours is black and mine has cream and sugar in it, and we can both enjoy it, even though I detest the kind of coffee you drink because it's bitter and awful. But respect and kudos to you for acquiring that palate to get to black coffee. So, putting that aside, 10% of Americans drink black coffee. True or false?
I feel like this is false. I feel like there are more black coffee drinkers out there than this guy wants to admit, therefore it is false.
Third point. This one has to do a little bit with Canadian tension, and this might open up a can of worms, might cause some dislikes on the video. In order of Canada's favorite coffee, this comes from Maclean's, and they did a survey breaking down, this was in 2017, so fairly recent, of what the favorite brand of coffee, strictly on taste.
Okay.
On taste, so not on atmosphere of restaurant, the taste of a standard cup of coffee. Tim Hortons came in 4th
Wow.
overall in Canada.
Okay, that's actually impressive considering that they're like one of the most popular coffee shops. 4th, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I think, and I may get an email about this later on, but it's deservedly so. Tim Hortons, it's coffee.
Right.
It has become Canada's brand. Quite honestly, I think Canada can do better.
So, are we discussing strictly the taste of the coffee?
If we're talking about standard cup of coffee taste.
Okay. I kind of feel like we are somewhat being unfair to Tim Hortons. Although I personally feel like they are not my first choice of coffee. Beyond just the taste, people buy coffee for more than that reason. There's the social aspect. That's probably the main thing I can think of. And when Canadians get together, top reason why they get together is on that fact. It doesn't change the fact of how it tastes. I understand that. Obviously, they're doing something right. Their focus is further than just good coffee. They're focusing on something broader, which I think is something to look at and say, you know what? Although their coffee's not the best, they have done something that a lot of other companies have missed.
Yeah, and I respect that from Tim Hortons. So, do you think it's true that they rank 4th?
As much as I would like to say it's not true, I feel like this fact is true.
Alright. Moving on to my final point then. Caffeine is considered a drug. Reason why: it stimulates the central nervous system, causing a change in behavior / or mood.
Okay, Dallas.
Caffeine is a drug.
Caffeine.
Are you addicted? Are you addicted?
Caffeine. If this fact is true, if it is a drug, I want to bring another fact. I just happened to read that as much as it might be a drug, to get any overdose even on it, you'd have to drink 100 cups of coffee to even get that effect. And so, before you'd even get there, you would have other problems such as way too much liquid in your body. So I feel like to point out that
True,
coffee is
true.
a drug. Coffee is a drug.
No,
It is-
caffeine.
Caffeine is a drug. Well, then in that case, there are a lot of other beverages that we should be eliminating.
True.
I don't feel like it's a factor that people should be like, you shouldn't be drinking coffee because it's got caffeine and caffeine's bad for you.
You've seen it everywhere, probably. mugs, hashtags on Instagram, but first coffee. Let me have my coffee before anything else. Don't talk to me until I've had my coffee. That kind of mindset is scary, knowing how much people depend on caffeine. And mainly that comes within coffee. Now I'm drinking a cup of coffee myself. I have been for this episode. But I view my cup of coffee as something I drink because of the taste. I know certain people who say they drink it because they need the caffeine boost. If there are proven health risks to drinking caffeine from coffee, then it would go away.
Okay,
This would be the last cup.
Dallas and everybody else out there who uses this argument, I can understand where you're coming from, but the one thing we need to realize is, like the good book says, everything in moderation. There's risks in overdosing on anything. If you can't do that, if you can't, back off on something, there's that danger. But to say, put it away, if that causes you to overdose, 100%. But here's the thing, if you can learn to appreciate something without overdosing on it, it can actually be a beautiful thing. That's why I think there's a balance.
Yeah, definitely true. So, do you think at this point that caffeine is legally considered a drug?
Legally.
It falls under the term as a drug. Do you think that is true or false? So previously you said that you thought that 10% of Americans drinking black coffee was false. Do you want to change that now, or would you like to lock that in?
I would tend to think that caffeine is considered a drug, and so therefore I'm locking in that this is a true fact. As much as I hate a lot of stigmas that go with that, I do see it as a drug. Use it responsibly.
Use it responsibly.
How did I do, Alice?
You guessed that the lie was 10% of Americans drink their coffee black.
That is right.
And you were right. The actual percentage was 30% of American coffee drinkers drink their coffee black. 30% of Americans.
My faith has been restored in coffee drinkers. I knew that there were definitely a smaller group, but it has been restored. I felt like 10% was not an accurate measure of this group.
30% is by far too much. 10% is still too much. But you did guess it right.
So, starting off with the first fact. And this fact is, the color of your coffee mug can change the way your coffee tastes. What do you think?
Right off the bat, I will say this, that certain coffee, whether it is actual, I don't think it can affect the taste, but definitely your mood. There's certain coffee mugs in our drawers and cabinets that I lean towards. There's certain ones that I enjoy, how they look, how they feel in your hand. A good coffee mug needs to have the handle big enough for 2 fingers to slide through comfortably, just to feel in your hand. And I don't know where you got this statistic from. I don't know whether it's definitely a mind game. If you think of a coffee in a styrofoam cup, maybe, compared to a nice venti Starbucks drink. Same liquid inside.
Right.
Probably the nicer cup will make your mind think that it'll taste better, at least with the price that you paid for it. You'll want it to taste better too. So I'd say that's true.
Okay. So the second fact that I have is that coffee is the second most globally traded commodity in the world after crude oil. Off of an article I read from the Washington Post, 500 billion cups of coffee are consumed on Earth every year.
Wow.
That puts it up quite high.
I'm gonna say false. I don't think it's quite number 2. I know it's up there, but I don't think it's number 2.
Okay. So that's fact number 2.
Fact.
Fact number 3. Coffee does not dehydrate you like the myths will tell you. Allow me to read what I have found.
Please do.
Even though caffeine is a diuretic, which forces water to be excreted in urine.
I think we all know what diarrhea means, yeah.
Allow me to say that again. What that is, it forces water to be excreted in urine, which our bodies quickly compensate. So our bodies can compensate. So even though caffeinated beverages such as coffee and tea have a net hydrating effect. So even though, yes, it does excrete quicker, your body can still take that liquid and hydrate you. What dehydrates you is not drinking liquid. True, it will leave your body faster, but it is still hydrating you.
Wow. Yeah, very, very interesting fact, actually.
And so I just feel like there's a lot of uneducatedness when it comes to the subject of coffee.
Where's the source? I'm wondering.
The source? Good question. So if you look, you put me on a spot. I need to pull up my
On
facts.
Wikipedia.org.
It was not
Edited by
Wikipedia.
Sergio Penner.
It was not Wikipedia.
Okay.
I read this off of Denver Post,
Denver Post.
and then I followed up with Healthline.com. MayoClinic.org even has.
Mayo Clinic. There's a kind of clinic I go to.
It does talk about, yes, it does discuss the fact that water probably is your best way to stay hydrated, but that does not take away the fact that coffee is still a liquid that hydrates you.
True.
And so I feel like where people go wrong is by quoting things where it has actually not been backed up.
I think you're telling the truth. Whether or not I believe these sources, MayoClinic.org and these other ones, is yet to be determined.
So number 4 is... Okay. So my fourth fact is that coffee creamer actually makes your coffee healthier.
Oh boy. Wow. Healthier.
Yes.
Healthier as in...
This is a very generic statement, but
Yeah.
but when you drink your coffee, by putting in creamer, you're intaking more substances. So, for example, there is stuff inside of the creamer that can be additional can be more beneficial for you as a consumer of coffee.
Yeah. Definitely creamer is beneficial to coffee for taste.
But we're not discussing that.
That is one of the main uses of creamer, is to enhance the flavor of coffee. Now, you think of many good hazelnut, French vanilla. I tried this new one the other day, Irish coffee bean or something, and it just enhanced the flavor. Now, whether or not it makes it healthier, I'm sure it adds elements that you wouldn't normally find in coffee. But I feel like that's a very vague statement and a weak argument.
So
to say, just put the generic term healthier, just because it's adding something in. I kind of feel like this is one that you made up.
So you're calling this false?
I'm calling this false.
Okay.
I'm calling here.
Calling it my bluff. Is that what you're
I'm
doing?
calling your bluff.
Okay, so this is number 4. I purposely put the false one at the very end. You are correct. And the reason why I said that was to counter you and your creamer argument. Yes, there are healthy versions of creamer that you can put in your coffee. You know, there's that, plant-based creamer. And I'll grant it, creamers do taste good. But here's the thing. Creamer makes your coffee way less healthy as a whole. So that ends my list of facts and falsehoods.
Facts and falsehoods. And that ends mine, and I guess we both called each other's bluffs. We know each other too well.
That is true.
Still don't agree on everything, but that's
fine.
That's fine.
Honestly though, I think like anything, any subject, there's always something we can learn. There's things that we need to look at closer and realize, is this true, is this not? And on the subject of coffee, There are so many fascinating facts I think people should be aware of.
Yeah.
And not only that, people should be aware of the misconceptions.
True.
Yeah.
And I think there's so much to discover about coffee, so much to discover about creamer. And yeah, very insightful. Bonus fact for all of you who stuck around this long. Coffee was believed to be invented by a goat herd boy who noticed that when his goats ate coffee berries, got frisky, got frolicky and hyper. When he went to try out the berries himself, he quite enjoyed the taste. And hence the coffee berry was discovered to have great taste, as well as it made you more awake.
Fascinating story, Dallas.
I think so too. It's actually one of my top 3 goat herd stories ever.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Don't just take his word for it. Go find out about the story yourself.
True.
Fascinating story.
Yeah, this has been very insightful, educational. It's been fun to discuss. It's been fun to collide and disagree, but come out to a more well-rounded opinion.
Thanks for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for future videos.
Yeah, and if you have any topics that you would like us to tear apart and discuss, let us know in the comments down below.
All right. See you next time.
Yeah, see ya.